All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of the Up and In Show. This is a really special episode for us because this is my first time having a Zoom call with a third guest, and also the first time where I have a recruit on the podcast. So, Max Charles, thank you so much. I appreciate you taking the time tonight with my guy David here. We're excited to dive into this conversation with you because you have a really unique background and story, and we're excited to see you in a Tiger uniform soon too. So, thank you for the time.
Yes,
Everybody,
of course.
I want to introduce and just give a little quick background on Max. Max is a 2024 LSU baseball commit. You can read about why he committed to the Tigers on cardsandculture.com, but we're also going to talk about what he is, what kind of pitcher. And I'm fascinated by this. I talked to Anthony. I can't wait for these two pitchers to kind of just pick each other's brain because Max, we all saw what that Mississippi State pitcher did this past weekend. And it immediately made me think about Max and why he would be the perfect first guest for us. Max is actually ambidextrous, meaning he throws from the left-handed side and he throws from the right-handed side. And he's also a switch hitter. It's at this point where I say, hey, Anthony, Max, go for it.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that intro. Thank you, David. Max, why don't you also introduce yourself? I kind of like let the guest, let everybody get a quick rundown and introduce yourself for a second as well.
Yeah, obviously, I'm Max Charles. I'm out of Phoenix, Arizona. I'm currently a junior at Liberty High School, and yeah, I play on the Philadelphia Phillies scouts team just like Durangelo did, and yeah, so excited to get things going.
Yeah, man. So why don't you dive in? So I read in the article you started this. This has been something you've been doing for a long time, huh?
Yeah, a long time. Ever since I was about 2 or 3. Whenever I started, my dad just started me out like that. So yeah, it's yeah.
If people ask you if you're righty or lefty, do you just answer both like every time, just very naturally?
Yeah, and people kind of get freaked out about that a little bit. They're just like, "Hold on, I don't think I heard you right." And I'm like, "Yeah, you heard me right."
What's the typical follow-up question, right? So I'm 6'7", everybody's like, "Oh, you're tall," and the next question is how tall, right? Like, so people are like, "Oh, what do you mean both?" Like, what's the next question? Do you write with, or do they go, "Do you write with both hands," or is that usually it?
Yeah, it's usually right with both hands, and then it gets off into more explicit stuff. But yeah,
That's hilarious. Of course, yeah. How old are you?
I just turned 17.
17. That's awesome, of course. But that's awesome, man. Well, again, thank you very much for taking the time to be here. I'm excited to dive in. Go ahead, David. What's up?
Max, give us a little breakdown here because everybody knows, Anthony Ornato from the right-handed side threw in the mid-90s, got a curveball and all that kind of stuff. Give everybody the breakdown of what they're going to see from both sides of the plate.
Yeah, so I have a little different arsenal from each side. From the right side, I like to go. I have a four-seam fastball, and I'll tunnel that with a split finger. And then I also have a two-seam fastball that I'll change. I'll tunnle that with a two-seam changeup, and I also have a traditional slider and 12-6 curveball. From the left side, it's a little bit different. I tend to have more run, so there's no reason to have a four seam. So I just have a two seam changeup, slider, and curve, and occasionally I will throw that split from the left side as well.
What are we thinking on the fastball from both sides here, Max?
Recently, it's been a little bit more even. So right now I'm sitting 90 to 93 on each side. And so hopefully by the summer it goes up a little bit more with the weight training I'm doing, meal plan, and just everything that goes into that.
Anthony, I got one more question, then he's all yours. I promise.
Go.
Max, paint a picture here of when we talked and when you initially committed. You said, "I've been doing this my whole life. This is all I've ever known." Take us back to the growing up. How was it? Did your dad say like, "Okay, we're just throwing with this hand today"? Like how it had to have been taught. So how were the skills taught at such a young age?
Yeah, obviously, my dad's a lawyer, so every day when he'd come back from work, it would actually be me asking him to go to the field. And sometimes when I didn't want to go, he'd make me go, and I'm grateful for that. But going off saying how I learned that, he's always been a huge baseball fan, but in my family, there's never been a lot of baseball, like, Division One pro guys, any of that. So I really, he got the basics down for me, and then actually when I went into like the USSSA club baseball stuff, that um, the coaches really helped me out there, because I was fortunate enough to have club coaches throughout my youth career that did play pro ball, so they had a little bit of an idea of what that would be.
Dude, this story is fascinating to me. So like when you get your daily work, are you throwing 5, 10, 15 minutes from the right side, 5, 10, 15 minutes from the left side, like doing exactly the same thing? Are you rotating every throw? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, I kind of go by five. So I'll start out, 10 feet away, do some underhand, just like with the plyo balls, and every five throws I'll switch arms and just, move a couple feet back each time. And
Nice.
depends on the day if I'm gonna go long toss or not. But yeah, that's basically it.
Yeah.
Max, do you have the glove? Do you have the glove around?
Yeah, actually I have it right here. This is
Anthony,
one that
wait
I
till
used
you see
last year.
this.
Yeah, so I have it here.
Oh my God, that's phenomenal. Who made that? What brand made that for you? Who is it? SSK?
His name is Michael Sacco.
Oh, okay, okay.
So he's out of Las Vegas in Nevada. He started making gloves, I don't know, 5, 6 years ago.
That's awesome.
And we actually designed this, so we actually have a patent on this design.
Look at
Um,
you, the lawyer dad. I love it.
so
Look at him.
yeah, yeah, lawyer
Dude,
dad. There you go.
yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Good for you, man. I read that in the article too. You play the outfield, right? And when you're playing the infield, you'll play first base. You'll play everywhere pretty much, right? In
Yes,
the
sir.
outfield
Yeah,
though,
I go ahead.
no, I was saying I think it's fascinating how you in the article at least you talked about how like strategically you'll pick which arm you're throwing with and glove side based on like how to cover each side respectively.
Yeah, yeah, that's the outfield. So usually, like, if I don't have a scouting report, right field I'll play right-handed, center field left-handed, and left field left-handed. But if I know a certain day that a certain team likes to go the opposite way, then it'll just switch up based on that.
Very cool. Yeah.
Max, why was it LSU? I know we've talked about this, but it's kind of a different audience for now. But tell everybody, why was it LSU? You could have had your pick of wherever you wanted to go. Why, in the end, was it LSU?
Well, in the end, it all came down to Jay Johnson, really. He recruited me back when I was a freshman when he was at U of A. Obviously, it didn't end up being the school I chose, but deep in my heart, I knew that if something ever went horribly wrong, and it did, that I would have a good chance at being under him again.
That's awesome. I'm sorry. I'm still fascinated by the throwing with both hands thing. So, what's your arm slot? Are they similar both sides? Because I know you said you had
Yeah,
more run on
they're
the left side, right?
yeah. I have the same arm slot. It's a 3/4 slot.
Nice.
My left hand, I guess I tend to spin the ball a little more from the left side, but
Yeah.
that's really it. Yeah.
That's what I was going to ask you. I don't know how advanced, the metrics are that you get, but is your spin axis all the same stuff? Like similar on each side?
Yeah, it's very similar, very similar.
That's so awesome.
The off
Yeah.
speed, on my left side is actually a little bit more. So, for example, my slider from the right side will sit at about 2,700, 2,800 RPMs, and from the left side it'll be in the 3,000 range.
Nice. Wow, that's very cool. All right. So 3-2 bases loaded. You got to get an out. What pitch? What arm? What are you going with?
I'm going. I don't care if it's a righty or lefty. I'm going lefty. I'm going a two seam, and I'm going. If it's a righty, I'm going high and out. If it's a lefty, I'm going high and in. So same
Oh,
spot.
I love that. Okay. Because I just wanted to know like what your like natural, like if you had to pick up a baseball, what would be natural for you, so you think it would be would it be left-handed?
It actually would be right-handed. I just have more
Wow.
confidence in my left.
Yeah. All right. I love that. That's fascinating.
You
And you're
haven't even
also,
talked to him. He's a switch hitter, too.
oh, that's what I was just going to say. You're a switch hitter too, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
your brain just functions perfectly on both sides. That's what we've just concluded, right?
Basically.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. What's really funny was when I was a kid, I was my dad would make me bat lefty if I was slumping righty because it would just kind of like get me back in the rhythm of stuff and everything. So I find that so fascinating that you've been doing that since a young age. I'm jealous. Yeah.
All right. Well, Max, I appreciate your time, man. Thank you for coming on the show. And everybody's going to look forward to you being in the purple and gold really soon. Okay.
Yeah,
Yes,
Max.
sir.
Thank you for the time, man. And I'm looking forward to seeing you on campus. If you ever need anything, don't hesitate to reach out. I got a store here in town, and I'm looking forward to linking up in person.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, man.
Thanks,
Absolutely.
Max.
Thank you.
So what do you think, man? I couldn't wait for all week, and I'm going to paint the picture when the ESPN started throwing up all over this Mississippi State kid throwing from both sides of the plate. I was like, we've got to get Max Charles on the show. He's got to be the first guest. What'd you think?
Dude, he's awesome. I mean, the kid speaks well too. You can just tell he's intelligent. He was raised right. So I don't know. It just seems like a good kid, and I'm excited to see what he does. I want to see some. So I watched. I kind of went down the rabbit hole a little bit. I saw some of his batting practice too, and that tweet that was embedded in the story too. I mean, dude. I mean, his swing is just impressive too. Big kid, 6'3", 210,
Yeah.
right?
And his sister is a reporter for MLB Network.
What?
Yeah.
So that's pretty
It's
cool.
like, and he's like one of like 10 brothers and sisters. He's got a huge family as well.
Charles, that's pretty cool. What is she? Is she said for MLB Network? Is it a certain
I
any
don't know the
specific team?
complete details there, but when you
Yeah,
follow her on social media, she got to interview her brother one time at one of these camps.
nice.
So you guys, we're both looking at live stats right now of watching,
Yeah.
the LSU Texas game, which is scoreless in the night. Anthony, we are 2 full weeks in. I'd love to
Yep.
get your thoughts. At the moment of this podcast, LSU has lost one game. It was
Yep.
a butt whooping at the hands of Iowa.
Yeah.
What have you seen? What have you liked? What have you not liked? And what are you still? I want to have some questions answered here.
Yeah. Full disclosure, I didn't watch this most recent Sunday game where they whooped up on Sam Houston. So I was pretty busy at the shop, so I didn't get a chance, and our stream wasn't working for a little while. But I really like so far. I still like the pitching. I think we have really good pitching. And I like the depth in the lineup. I think with Trey, even with Trey out, right? You saw a couple guys come in and play different roles, and Joe Bear step up. You just got guys. We have depth, and so I like that from the perspective of from having to win games late in the year when guys go down and things like that. I think a lot of guys are going to get opportunities now in the beginning of the year too. Throughout that stuff, but it's still so early too. That's the thing. But I think guys are throwing strikes, and there's stuff there from the pitchers. So that's all you can ask for.
I agree as well. I think Skeens is a dog in a
Yeah.
good way.
Yep.
He can prove that. And he proved that, against Western Michigan. And then he proved it battling through Kansas State. And he had the rough first inning. It was over 30 pitches. How important is that you were a dog? How important is that to be able to go through that and still push through and get almost seven innings? You give up one run in that first inning, but just to face some adversity early, how important is that when you're trying to build up as we head into the start of conference play?
I was saying that we were watching it in the shop here, and I thought that was the most impressive thing is that he threw 30 pitches in the first inning, but then he settled in, and by the sixth inning, he was on track for 15 pitches an inning, right? So with a bunch of swings and misses and strikeouts. So for me, that means that there's a ton of stuff there, which means guys are not seeing the ball out of his hand, right? So he's getting swings and misses, even in the middle of the counts. Guys are looking like they're guessing. And for him to have that many strikeouts, with such few pitches says a lot for his command and his stuff. And that's why I was so excited. He's not a guy that goes 3-2 and then gets a strikeout, right? So he's going to be able to go late in the games, and it means he has swing and miss stuff. So that's the definition of a true ace. Do you command the zone well, and do you have swing and miss stuff where when the bases are loaded or it's second and third, one out, you need 2 punch outs, you can get that, So for me, Skeens is everything that we want out of a Friday night guy. He's 6'6", he commands the mound, and his presence is really strong. He has a little bit of a competitive edge to himself. You can see him kind of yelling and getting fired up off the mound. So I'm on Skeens. I'm excited about that. And I think it's exciting when you have an ace like that.
is Riley Cooper a starting pitcher, or is it just a Jay needed a lefty to try to kind of mix things up? I think it's a little bit of the latter, and I think
Yeah.
Cooper's going to settle into that rubber arm, can use him 3 times in a weekend thing. Or did you like him starting these last 2 games?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's still early to tell, but I don't see him as a starter. I don't know why. I think he's really good out of the pen, like you said, with some length. But I think once he gets through the lineup 2 or 3 times, then it gets kind of dangerous because he doesn't have that elite stuff, and guys can kind of figure him out. And unless he's really commanding the zone really well, and like you've seen where the umpire didn't give him a lot, or he had to be extra fine, and then he got hit around a little bit, and that's going to happen to him. So I think he's better off, again, this is just my opinion and seeing from afar. I'm not there every day to see him as a competitor, leader, all that stuff. But I think stuff wise, he's probably better off in the bullpen from my perspective.
It's talking about stuff. We're going to go to the third starter. It's interesting that the baby steps they seem like they're taking with Chase Shores.
Yeah.
Chase Shores may have better stuff, God-given ability, talent than Paul Skeens. But in my family thread, we all said the same thing. He's got the stuff. He's just not there yet, and it's going to take time. When do you know? Like, because when you see him when he's on, you're like, holy crap, the stuff is there. But you can tell that they're only wanting to do one time through the lineup, and it's kind of just Jay is taking his time. Kind of give us some details on the approach of why do that, and does it depend on the player? Because I think Shores has the best stuff on the team. He's just not there.
Yeah, I agree, and I'm sure it's one of the things that Jay's probably do. Jay's building a dynasty right now, right? Like, so he sees a freshman that's going to be here for the next 3 years, and he's getting them Sunday starts in the beginning of the year. He's got the best stuff, so he's going to ease him into that role, and he's going to, guide him into being this Friday guy. Up when we look 3 years, and he's starting Friday night, opening night. He's polished and everything like that. Especially with all the depth that we have this year and the arms that we have, there's not a ton of pressure on him in the beginning of the year to have to go through the lineup 3 times. And so, with a guy that's 18 years old, I'm sure he's 18, 17, 18, 19 years old, whatever it is he is as a freshman, right? He's 6'8", he's figuring out his body. He's got a lot of length in that delivery, and that's where it is. He just doesn't have the repeatability. That's why you see him yank balls sometimes. That's why he leaves some up and arm side. Guys get swings and misses through it because it's 96, 97, up to 98, 99. But he needs to be able to command that zone a lot better. If you're going to command the top of the zone, do it with purpose, and precision, and then be able to throw the breaking stuff with command. So he'll figure that out though as he gets older and gets his body and his strength and his core strength down. So that'll come with age and experience.
We talked about this when we talked about the freshmen in the lineup, the Gavin Guidrys of the world, when we were kind of picturing what we think the lineup is going to be. And I said they're going to have their poop their pants moment. I'm not saying Shores had that against Western Michigan, but my question to you is, even if you're a stud and you have all this stuff, how different is it, Anthony? We all see y'all come out onto the field and stuff, but how different is it when, oh my God, we're at Alex Box Stadium? I don't care if it's an SEC game. I'm still on the mound. And how much of it is it mental where you've got to kind of try to control yourself?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's what I mean. He's figuring out a lot of things and having a lot of firsts, right? He's however old he is, trying to figure out his body, his strength, and the moving parts of that while trying to manage emotions of pitching in a stadium with 12,000, 13, 14,000 people. And for the #1 team in the country with a lot of pride and a lot of history and tradition on that uniform. So, and a lot of expectations. That's the thing is, the media at LSU is a lot different, right? We have a lot of expectations for him. There's a lot of eyes on him, and there's a lot of people talking about it. So he wants to perform well. He wants to perform for his teammates, for himself. And that's all things that comes with being an elite pitcher. And that's why I think Jay's slowly grooming him into that role and not, throwing a huge load on him and expecting him to pitch 6, 7, 8 innings on Sunday.
Do you see the projection here if the progress has it? Obviously, we're not in Jay's head, but I'd love to get your insight here. Do you see that Jay's thinking, okay, that first Sunday come league play, he's my Sunday guy, or he may even be my Saturday guy? Are you seeing that?
That's what I think too. I think he's also grooming him, right? Like I said, there's not a lot of pressure on him where there's older guys. If he can't fill that role, then we got guys like Christian Little and other guys that are in the back that have already had some length at the back end of games that could fill into that spot. But I think that if he steps up and rises to the challenge, Jay has a freshman that's pitching Saturdays and Sundays in the SEC and competing and giving us a lot of wins, hopefully, or keeping us in ball games and letting us compete for a win.
Switching over to the lineup and the sticks. Why are we not surprised that Gavin Dugas is doing his thing, man?
Speaking
Of,
of three-run homer by Gavin Dugas. Yeah.
I didn't even look. Swear to goodness.
I was like,
look.
oh, all right, yeah. I'm watching the stream right now, so I just saw like LSU celebrating.
I got live stats.
That's so great, yeah.
But speaking of, Anthony, it's one of those things where to win a championship, yes, you need your studs, but you also need your guys who have been around here forever. Gavin Dugas, I would bet probably played with you, but just that he gets his eyes fixed. He's a veteran. Nothing gets him nervous. He's at a new position for his time at LSU at second base, but he just seems like he's got his wits and he's just a calm veteran baseball player who's off to a really hot start at the plate right now.
That's exactly what it is. And I don't think he started opening day, right, or opening weekend and stuff like that. And so I think, or like maybe till Saturday or Sunday. And so I think he's got a little chip on his shoulder too, to like, have a little bit like edge to come back and wear that captain role, almost, and that leadership role. So I think he's just doing that and he's riding the wave of who he is. And I think LSU brings that out of guys, that number 8 that people wear and that pride that I think runs deep, and there's a lot of tradition there that he wants to uphold. And so I love the kid. I've known him for years. Like I said, obviously he's been here forever, and he's just a great kid. So I wish the best for him, and I'm so happy that he's got off to a great start. And I love that he came in and was able to fill roles and bat all in different parts of the lineup, and like you said, play a new position. So again, the kid is just the definition of why LSU is are who LSU is, and it's because of people like Gavin. So I appreciate him from that perspective, and in the brotherhood and everything. So I hope he keeps rolling like this.
We go from veterans to we go to young players, 2 young players who have made their impact very quickly. Jay has completely, it seems like, given the reins to Brady Neal behind the plate. We were kind of expecting that. And with the Tommy White injury, this is not a permanent thing. So Jared Jones, we can explain to some people here. Jared Jones is at first base because Tommy White's not ready to play third base yet. Right. So it's kind of, dominoes, affects a bunch of stuff. So you want Tommy White, he's coming off his arm injury, to come back in time. He's doing it at a DH. To do that, you're not taking Jared Jones out of the lineup, so you're going to put him at first, and then in turn, you're going to move Morgan to left. Of course, when everyone's healthy, you're going to see White at third. You're going to see Jared Jones probably probably DHing and Morgan at first. Yeah. But just talk about the adjustments. We talked about injuries, and LSU got one in the first inning of the first game. Yeah. And it was one of their best players. How long do you expect? Tommy White, it's taken some time because he still needs his at-bats. And in terms of a shoulder injury, how long do you expect him to come to before he starts hitting the ball well again? And then talk about Jones and Neal, 2 freshmen who it seems like it's clicked already.
Yeah, the Neal kid seems, I love that kid. I love his swing too. He's got a beautiful swing. So, I think he's doing a great job in handling a staff that's, very advanced and everything. So, I think he's handled it really well. Obviously, like we talked about from the jump, Jay's entrusted him with that role, and he's killed it. And Jones just, that dude just crushes the baseball. So, he's really fun to watch so far. So I'm excited to see how he progresses as well. And yeah, and Tommy White, shoulders are tricky, and especially it was a dislocation of the shoulder, right? So that's
an injury he's had before.
And that's where I'm saying, like, so hopefully he knows how to manage it, right? And there's things that he can do, because that's all about stabilization. That's all about upholding the care around it, all the little muscles around the shoulder he needs to take care of. So he'll hopefully be able to take care of that on his own and know when he can come back. But I hope it doesn't affect his swing too much. That's the biggest thing, is as long as it doesn't affect his swing, hopefully, we'll see him at full strength, hopefully by SEC play, and hopefully he'll be out there on the field. But again, it'll all depend on how he recovers from that and handles it and manages it.
What else have you liked at the plate that LSU's done?
Dylan Cruz is Dylan Cruz, right? SEC was he SEC Player of the Week this week or whatever. I think just him commanding, the lineup. He doesn't do too much in the sense of, swinging at anything outside the zone. And when guys are going to pitch around him, he'll take the walks. So I think that's probably the biggest thing for me. I was actually really anxious to see how Dylan was going to handle this year. I didn't expect anything less. That's my guy. I love Dylan. But when it's number one overall, preseason player, all that stuff that he is, I just wanted to see how he was going to come out this year. And I think he's handled himself exactly how we hoped and how he would. So to me, I'm excited to see how he continues to go this year and whether he's batting leadoff or batting third or wherever he is in the lineup. So but other than that, I feel like we covered everything. The guys are doing kind of what I expected so far. 5-1? Hopefully, it's 5-1 right now, right?
I want to see Skeens hit.
What's the deal on that?
I don't know the answer. It's one of those
I
questions.
need you to get some answers, dude. I need you to start poking around.
Some answers. I'm probably gonna piss Jay off when he looks at, because he looked at me once when he was talking about the Tommy White injury, but all is good. Jay and I are good, so don't worry. But wrapping it up, I want to see Skeens hit. And Anthony, I think this was a cool first episode of the season. We got a recruit in, dude. I think that's really cool. We're gonna have a bunch of them, and I think it's gonna be really a cool thing that we're doing.
Yeah, dude, I think so too. And thank you for getting all that done and getting him on here. Like I said, seems like a great kid. That was a great timing with everything. I think people are going to enjoy it. I think like this, like I said, these little glimpses into things are different than anybody's kind of doing around here. So thank you for all the energy, the effort and everything. And go Tigers as always.